done.
So
Like
good.
it's man.
So good, man.
Yeah.
It's something about man, just having a vision and working towards that vision and seeing the vision actually become reality.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. And and that should be an encouragement to all of us. It's like, man, whatever the vision is, write the vision down, make it plain so everybody can run towards it.
It is. And to tie it back into, it also should be easy. Like
Right.
if you got a vision and you got to whip people into shape to chase that vision, if you got a vision and you got to explain it over and over and over because people just aren't getting it, then you got the wrong vision.
That's
You
so
know,
good.
some things should be easy. Life is hard enough. Some
Right.
things should be easy. And getting people lined up and on board, that piece of it should be easy. And if it's not, we got to take another look at what we're talking about and what we're
Right.
doing.
That's so that right there. If anybody is, especially in the church world, if you know anybody who's a leader like that, that is a chapter in the book of Aaron, dude, that everybody needs to read.
Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
Jason, welcome back, sir.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you. What part of the? Or you're in Texas, but not home, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio. I am doing the FCA National Conference. So, Fellowship of
Oh,
Christian
really?
Athletes.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's like
Oh, I thought it was Fiat Chrysler Automotive, but
dude, yeah, that would have been great. Uh, yeah, but Fiat starts with a PH.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just that's
Okay,
hysterical.
all right.
Yes. Yeah, so it's actually San
oh
Antonio's
man.
first largest conference since the beginning of the pandemic. So it's like 2,000 people, 2,000 leaders
Wow.
here for the conference. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Glad you're
Yeah.
able to be a part of that. That's cool. Bringing inspiration to people and sharing. That's cool. Very cool. So, man, towards the end of our last conversation, we kind of flipped the script on you, and you had shared some things that are going on with you, and if I'm remembering correctly, you were talking about like your mission. What you want to do is you want to help people laugh um, how'd you put it exactly? Make a difference or
Laugh and grow. Help people laugh and grow.
laugh, laugh and grow. That's right, laugh and
Yeah.
grow. And and I had kind of maybe in a retribution thing from some of the big to dos you've put on me. I had thrown out there to maybe find one thing that you're able to set aside that doesn't fit both of those categories, and then maybe one thing that you can give ownership of to somebody else on your team. Did any of those things come to fruition this week?
Dude, absolutely. What's crazy is, well, dude, here is what's amazing about when you begin to look at that challenge and look at what you really are called to do, what your purpose to do.
Yeah.
The world gets actually bigger. In other words, it's small, but you see even more impact, man. So I actually met with a person
Wow.
who's an email marketing specialist, and I brought them on my team,
Okay.
brother. Listen, first of all, I
What?
started. Oh man, dude. First of all, so I realized I was just looking at just, of course, the financial management of Jason Earls Productions, and I realized I saw that
Uh-huh.
I was spending over $100 for 3 different email platforms. And so I met with this
Okay.
person just knowing the genius that they are when it comes to email marketing. And so we went, I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I want you to come on my team. Let's talk about what it would take. They committed to being on my team before we even talked about just some different things. So when we met, I actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation at my house in my dining room. Just I'm going straight professional, as if you at my corporate building, and I'm
Oh
going
man,
through. I made a
that's right.
chart. I made a chart of each individual platform and what we do, what it does, how much
Uh-huh.
I'm paying, and then I gave it. I presented it and said, "Okay, is this? I know this is bad." And her response
Yeah.
was, "Yeah, this is too much. In fact, you can pay a little bit less or just a tad bit more of what you're paying all of these and have even more impact." And then she said this, I know your voice. I know how you communicate. I know the passion in which you communicate from, the way that you would say things. So I can just write the emails for you.
Oh, what? Oh man. Oh,
I can get
talk about ownership. Talk, wow, talk about transferring ownership and empowering somebody to be able to help you. Man, that's spectacular. Wow.
absolutely. She said, Jason, if you I've been around you and your wife for so long, I know exactly what you would say when you're welcoming somebody. I know how you would
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I know how you would say this. So I can hear your voice saying it. So I can just write up a few emails already for you. We'll listen to this. Aaron, I have not used I've been paying all this money and haven't sent an email out to the 3,500 plus email addresses that I have, probably for about 8 months.
Yeah.
And she
Mm,
said, it's okay.
yeah.
I'll do I've been gone, but I'm back now email.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Man,
So
that is spectacular.
so here's what I realized, and this is what you did with the metaverse, with Soapstone. It's I look at I look at leadership, and one of my mentors always said, "Success leaves clues." So people who are successful, you can
Mm,
look at them and gain clues on how to be successful. So one thing
yeah.
I enjoy looking at history, looking at previous leaders of countries, looking at whether it's presidents, whether it's secretaries, whether it's kings and queens. And one of my favorite
Mm,
kings that I've learned how to get stuff done or observe how to get stuff done is an ancient king by the name of Solomon. And what
yeah.
Solomon did when he was rebuilding his palace slash temple, what he did was he like, okay, what is the best type of wood that I could build? Let me get the best type of wood. The best type of wood were the cedar wood, and the best cedar came from Lebanon. So he went to Lebanon and he got cedar from Lebanon, but he got the best guy who could chop down the cedars of Lebanon. And after he found the
Hmm.
best guy who could chop down the cedars of Lebanon, he went and found the best log shipper. So the best person
Yeah.
who could ship the logs, he got them to ship. Just because you can cut cedars doesn't mean that you can ship them well.
Preach, preach. Yeah.
So man, so that's what I. So I went and found the best person that I could find who I know who does email marketing. It just so happened
Yeah.
we know the person personally. But that's what you did with the Soapstone.
Yeah.
That's what you said, man. Like the team that you got to help build it, it's the same thing.
Oh yeah. 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 You're right. It's fine. And so one of the big things that jumps out to me about this is, like the technical aspects of, hey, this person's great at email marketing. That's cool. But the underlying thing of the dynamics of how that relationship came together, that's what's really interesting to me. I've got a philosophy that played out with you and I working together on this, and it's played out 100 times in the Soapstone, that things should be easy. And that doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. But in the beginning of a relationship, how the dynamics come together and how people start to work together, that piece of it should be easy. There's enough
Yeah.
that's tough. There's enough that's hard to do, that you need to have that chemistry, that organic, easy relationship. And it sounds like you got that with this person who's helping you out. And and like you said she wanted to join your team before you even really talked the details. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about, how it should be easy. That piece of it. Everybody ought to be saying, we're all 100% in going in this direction before any of the extrinsic rewards, the money, the whatever else comes into play. And man,
Absolutely.
I commend you for that, for finding that. That's awesome, dude.
Kudos to you for just like for us having a conversation and get this from you just being you. Once again, there it is. You being yourself actually helped me become even a better guy.
Man,
That's
that's a
that's how it
huge
works, bro.
compliment, man. Yeah, yeah. Well, and yeah, that's what's great about the dynamics of this. Like I'm a better person hearing your insights and your wisdom, and to see that flip around a little bit and be able to give back. That's awesome. Thank you.
That's good stuff. So what's going on in
Yeah,
the world
man.
of Soapstone in the metaverse this
Man,
week?
this has been a wild week. When have I not said it's been a wild week? you know, so far everything's been wild.
Exponential growth.
Actually, this has been. That's right. Well, to tell you the truth, we're no longer growing exponentially, which is okay. I mean, we're still growing,
Yeah,
we're still going, but it's not the exponential growth. We're not doubling every week, which again is okay, because um, that type of growth leads to implosion if you're not
right.
careful. So we're
Absolutely.
growing, things are good, but we're no longer doubling every week, which again is good. But I mean, we're doing great. I mean, 37,000 total visitors all together now, which is up substantially since last time we talked. And then we also got some new performance metrics in Horizon Worlds, where we can look at some really cool data on number of visitors per week, and then
Yeah,
also the amount of time that people are spending. And these numbers are off the charts good. The last I had looked at it, for the most recent full week that we have data for, we had over 10,000 people come in to the club, and the average amount of time spent was 19 minutes. Now, 19 minutes might not seem like that much, but you got to think that there are people that come in and and then just bounce right back out. So that's
right.
the average. So that means that we have many, many people that are very engaged in what's going on. And that makes sense. I mean, from what I see from the Facebook group, and which that's growing. Like, I just put out a post saying, "Hey, everybody, congrats. We are now past 900 members strong." That was a couple days ago, and we're now at 950 members. So I
Wow.
mean, that's just growing, growing, growing. So that's cool. Again, that 19 minutes average stay time, that's to have that high of a average stay time with as high a volume as we're seeing.
Yeah.
That's really spectacular from an engagement standpoint. And then of course our bounce rate, the people that come in and spend less, I think it's like less than 30 seconds there. So they just come in and then they leave right away. That's very low. Also, I think 94% of the time people spend in there is time spent with others. So it's very rare that anybody's in there by themselves. But all those are
Yeah.
good numbers. I had some really cool stuff happen in real life, IRL, as the kids are calling it nowadays. In real life, on Wednesday and on Friday, I got to do live shows, which is cool. It's been a little bit since I've been on the live stage, and it was just awesome, man. To be in a room full of people laughing together, I just
Yeah.
love it. It's one of my favorite things.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I found. I've had the busiest week in 2 years, in over 2 years. This week.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make you choke, but that's awesome. Uh, yeah, it's so good. But so if I had a super busy week and you got back on stage, it looks like things are starting to turn around, man. Maybe that's an indication
I, I,
of the turnaround.
I think so. I think the from what I've seen, and I'm certainly not an expert in this thing, but from what I've heard and seen, the typical path that a virus will take is it becomes more contagious and less impactful over time.
Yeah,
And I think that's what we saw with this Omicron variant,
right.
that it came through and it touched a lot of people, and we went through kind of a dark phase. But I really feel like we're moving past it, as far
Yeah.
as public being out in public and gathering with people, which is good, just in time for World War, you know.
That is great. That
Yeah.
oh, dude, that is great.
you,
There's your clip.
you
There's your
could
highlight
you
clip
couldn't
right there.
script it.
Dude, that.
Oh man.
There's your clip to promote this thing, man.
That's yeah. I think that's how we'll start it off.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Oh.
I'm wondering though, with things opening up, how this will impact just the metaverse. How will it impact Soapstone? And I'll let you go first. Give me your take on it. But so for me, so Sunday I was in Seattle. Um, I left Saturday night, and I spoke twice Sunday morning, and then just took an amazing ride on the Puget Sound Sunday evening. Flew back home
Oh,
Monday.
cool.
Yes, flew back home on Monday. Just hung out with the family Monday nights, Tuesday. Jumped on a plane to Jacksonville. Did a conference in Jacksonville. Jumped on a plane Thursday morning. Did a conference in Irving, Texas for 2 days. Thursday, Friday, and then I jumped on the plane Saturday to come to San Antonio, wherever I am. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So, but I say that to say,
Yeah.
just the movement that I'm seeing across the country, from the West Coast to the East Coast and back in the central part of the country. It seems
Yeah.
like people are free and people are moving. I just went to the mall to get a
Yeah.
cable so we can do this, and it was good. But I'm wondering, how does things opening up impact Soapstone in the metaverse? What do you think?
So yeah, I mean that's a good question, and like I don't think it'll impact negatively the growth in the metaverse at all. And there's a couple of reasons why I say that. One, at no point in time is the metaverse, or should the metaverse be a replacement for in-person activity. Like you and I have talked about that. The
Right.
dynamics of being together in the same place, it's not reproducible, and it's certainly not reproducible in the metaverse. So the dynamics of us all being in person and together and out in public and interacting, that I'm so happy that's happening, and that should continue to happen. But even when things are 100% open and people are 100% traveling, there still will be accessibility problems.
Yeah.
There still will be times when people cannot be in person together. And
Mm.
and the metaverse is, I mean, it's better than this. Us looking at each other through a two-dimensional camera is pretty
Right.
cool, but it's nothing compared to being in the metaverse. So
Yeah.
the stuff that the metaverse will replace is not the in-person stuff that you're talking about. The stuff that the metaverse will replace is the stuff like this.
Right.
It's the two-dimensional or telephone calls or things like that. And then the other big thing is there's such a small percentage of people that are involved in the metaverse right now that it's there's just nothing but growth
Right.
available. It's I mean I just heard a number, and don't quote me on this number exactly, but that Horizon Worlds currently has about 300,000 users. So you think about that, 300,000 people. That's such a small fraction of what they're trying to grow it to.
Yeah.
So it's like we won't see a reduction from where we're at. Like everything can open up wide open, and I think we'll continue to see substantial growth.
Yeah. There's an idea, man. I think maybe one of these episodes we should have our conversation in the metaverse and just
Oh,
you know
100%. Yeah, absolutely, we should.
just
And
let
and
everybody see.
video it and air it. Yeah, in
Right.
fact, we could
Absolutely.
get a studio audience. We could get a studio audience in, and they'd love it. People would love it.
Wow. Yeah.
In
Wow. Man.
fact, like, yeah, yeah. In fact, I mean, we just need to do that.
Absolutely. That too. That would be amazing. Uh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just so now that like you and I've been talking and like there's this culture of people who have, the Oculus set. Now, man, I was talking to Jason, who you and I met. He reached out to me. And for everybody who doesn't know who
yeah,
Jason is, I think we mentioned Jason. I can't remember his last name right now. Boy, it begins with a B. Sorry, Jay. I know you're listening
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Uh, but he's the man. He's doing a lot with his church and
yeah,
and the metaverse. And so he reached back out to me. I'm like, dude, let's get together. And I'm like, instead of doing a
yeah,
conference call, let's just meet in the metaverse. And so
yeah,
now
yeah,
I'm looking for ways to have metaverse conversation, like meet us in the metaverse now. It's like, let's not talk on the phone.
yeah,
Let's show
yeah.
the metaverse.
That's right. Yeah. And that's where, I mean, there's such value in that. Like
Yeah,
I've talked with Jason this week too, and they're just about right. Actually, by the time this airs, I'm sure it'll already be launched. But Sun Valley Church, they built a campus in Horizon Worlds, and I got a little
yeah,
video walkthrough of it, and it's pretty sweet. Like I asked him, I'm like, man, is this what your church looks like? This is awesome. And
right,
the outside is pretty much an exact replica, and the inside is based on it. So it's not,
yeah,
they didn't stick, like you don't have to put bathrooms in and stuff like that. So
right.
they did it based on it. So yeah, it's a pretty cool place to hang out and worship and whatnot. I can't wait till that opens up.
Hey, let me ask you this. This is just more of a leadership question. So let's say I'm part of an organization or business, and whenever I walk into that organization or business's building or my church, I'm like, man, we should make it look different. Is it
Okay.
possible? Is it possible for me to build that same version in the metaverse, like what I see and what I see in my head,
Oh,
create that in the metaverse somehow, and then just take people like, hey, here's what I think it should look like.
so I'll tell you what, like you kind of just blew my mind because I never thought about that as an application for the metaverse. But
Yeah,
man, if you replicate what you've got in real life in the metaverse and then go in there and make design changes to fit your vision, then you can walk people through it. And yeah, that seems like an incredible application for this. Wow, man.
dude. But I had that idea when my first night in the metaverse with you all at the comedy club. I went back to my church, especially one of the design guys at my church, and I was like, dude, here's what we need to do. We need to create what we think this thing should look like, and just like bring people in and just show them. Because
Yeah,
my
yeah.
daughter,
And here's the deal: like you could do like you're like say it's a fundraising thing and you've got some donors that need to be on board. Like you could bring them in build mode in Horizon Worlds, have it all set up, and be asking them, "What do you think about this?" Oh, you know what? I want that to be blue, and boom, you could make it blue. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
you could get for key stakeholders, you could get real time input and changes. Like I mean that man, that's cool.
yeah, I'm wondering, yeah, this probably I probably shouldn't even suggest this on a public a conversation that's public like this, but I wonder, my daughter plays Sims. I don't know if you're familiar with Sims, the
Yeah,
game.
a little bit. I haven't played it, but I'm familiar with what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the best way I can describe Sims now. Sims is creating a metaverse, but you're outside of it and just playing with it with a joystick.
Mhm.
Because my daughter, she has a family that's automated and automated animated, and she builds homes in the Sims world, and her family lives in it. So she actually built our
Wow.
house. She built the replication of our house in the Sims on the Sims game. She even
Yeah.
designed the new youth room at our church and showed them like, this is what I think it should look like. And they were like, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's build stuff then. So
Yeah. Yep.
I'm wondering if I don't know if somehow you can migrate or integrate Sims in the metaverse. That's
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
dude. You
so
see how my
you
brain goes. I'm just
so the answer, I know, I love the way your brain goes. It's fun to try to keep up with.
that's
So
hysterical.
I mean there is a technical answer to that question, and that question is asked a lot amongst people from other platforms. And like, can we import stuff that we've built in other platforms into Horizon Worlds? And the answer is actually no. um, Horizon Worlds is specifically set up and designed so anything that is in there was built in there.
Yeah,
Which there's some programmers from Roblox and Sims and different platforms that are like, man, I've got a ton of work invested in building this. I wish I could import it, but for right now they don't allow that. So everything's built
right.
in game. Now that said, building in game and Horizon Worlds, that's a very valuable skill set now, and it will continue to get more valuable.
Yeah,
And having the background in the platform or the historical reference points of being able to do it in other platforms will just make it easier to do it in Horizon
right.
World. So, obviously being very cautious of boundaries and safe places.
Yeah,
If it's appropriate to do so, to get her in there and have her start building or start watching video tutorials. I've got some friends that have the Vidiyuu YouTube channel, and they've got
Yeah.
just video after video of how to build and stuff. So I'd encourage her in a safe way to get in and start learning how to do that in Horizon Worlds.
It's and YouTube is called Vidiyuu.
Vidiyuu, yeah. I'll put a link in here when I
Okay.
edit it in. But yep, Vidiyuu.
How do you spell that?
That's why I said I'll put a link in because I can't
Oh,
remember. It's V. I think it's Vidyuu.
okay.
Did you test it and see if anything popped up? All
Yeah, no, that. Let's
right.
see.
All
Yeah, we'll find
right.
it.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
just
going
put
to
it
look
there.
it up
I
now.
see it. Yeah, it's
No, I'm going to
V
look
V
at.
I D
Oh, you
I.
got.
Yeah, Vidyuu.
That's
Vidiyuu.
why I couldn't remember because it's weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Vidyuu.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's
That's good.
the guy that is kind of the leader of that effort. Super cool dude. He goes by Lakes in game, and just one of the most genuine guys. He was kind of, I would say he's pretty much like the first Horizon World celebrity because he started putting out these videos,
Yeah,
and everybody just knows his great ability to communicate, his great ability to teach, and script and build. So he's kind of like the first Horizon World celebrity.
yeah. I'm seeing he's got 3,000 subscribers, and
It's
yeah,
3,000 now. Wow, that's yeah, that's what I knew that would happen. That he'd get pretty quick growth as it starts to open up. So that's good to see.
wow. Man, what I'm seeing in this, and I think this is one of the most important lessons that I'm learning with the metaverse is well, it's twofold. One is don't limit your thinking. Uh, we're so accustomed to things moving at a slow pace, so it
Yeah.
affects the way that we dream, the way that we think, the way that we create.
Mm,
It's like our creativity goes to a certain point. Well, mine. Let me see my creativity, and I'm super creative. I'm always thinking crazy stuff, but I
yeah.
cap it for a while because like the reality has to catch up with my creativity.
Yeah.
So like my brain like okay, slow down. But now with this metaverse thing, it's like go 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 go, like just about. Uh,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be cliche because I know like nothing's. We can't say that anything's impossible. Anything is possible in the metaverse. We can't say that, but
Right.
the creativity of is got to make sure that we embrace the creativity that comes with thinking through the metaverse and not necessarily cap that thinking. At the same time, though,
Yeah.
it it can be overstimulating. Like you just go go go, and then you
Oh,
lose.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
what I'm learning. It's been a great exercise for me, or well, not exercise. That's probably the wrong word, but it's just been great expanding my creative thinking just by thinking through the metaverse.
Yeah.
Because it's if you
Yeah.
can think,
It's yeah. When you talk about like kind of unlimited, like the traditional mindset is you find and recognize an opportunity and then you capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like that's like a capped opportunity mindset. You know,
Right.
like you find that opportunity, and then you better figure out how to capitalize on it, monetize it, and get it into place. You know, but in the metaverse, it feels like opportunity is just absolutely limitless. And it might not always be like that, but right now,
Yeah.
um, the phase that things are at, it feels like the opportunity is limitless. So as we recognize some of these things, like we have an open podcast and we just spitball ideas, you know,
Right.
and it's okay to do that because man, like if we have the most brilliant idea and think of this thing that could happen and somebody else goes and does it, so be it.
Yeah.
Because there's another opportunity, there's another idea. Come on, I'll tell you what. So Monday night, like the church that I go to here in Holland, Michigan, called Ridgepoint Church. The lead pastor, Kevin Pike, he just started a Monday night service, which is kind of out of the box thinking as in and of itself. You know, they serve dinner and people hang out and it's more interactive and it's kind
Right.
of cool. But this Monday, which was the first Monday we went to this, he spoke on Barnabas and the dynamics between Barnabas and Paul. Now, Paul, I mean, as you know, like wrote most of the New Testament.
I'm
Like, I mean,
listening. I'm listening.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this dude had a lot of attention and glory on him. Barnabas, not so much.
Right.
You know, but Barnabas was the mentor to Paul, and he poured into that man, and Paul followed him around. Actually,
Yes,
I mean
sir.
Saul, you know, with the whole name change deal, but um, like learned from him, and then at one point Barnabas had to step out of the way and
Mm,
let Paul do his thing.
right.
And I'll tell you that hit me really hard when I heard that because I'm like, you know what? I just brought like the Saturday night headliner show. I just brought this new dude, Wyatt Burp, who's phenomenal, by the way, and I brought him in as a guest host
Yeah.
for the Saturday night headliner show. And then I hear this message, and then I get a message from him saying, "Hey, am I going to host Saturday nights from now on?" And I'm like, "No, that's one of my favorite things to do, man. Like you know, I don't want you to take that from me." And then
Right.
of course, you know, I'm thinking about Barnabas and Paul, and I'm like, you know what? I got to step out of the way. I gotta
Wow.
I gotta reform my thinking and step out of the way and let him run with this and let him be the host. Let him have that very enjoyable experience, and I'll go pound sand or whatever. But
Wow.
no. Um, so he's like, but that idea of the opportunities, you know, the opportunities are limitless. Yeah, go,
Yeah.
Jason.
Man, I'm gonna have to switch my camera and go to a less valuable, better looking camera because I only have one power cord, and that's running to my deal. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
yes,
so that camera's gonna run out
yeah.
of battery. Okay.
Right now, everybody see the truth.
Yeah.
All right, so hold on.
All right. So yeah, I stepped back, and Wyatt Burp is now our full-time host for the headliner show.
So talk about the tension. Like how was that?
You know, it's um, uh, you know, it was something that I had to let go of. You know, but inside, you know, it's probably the most enjoyable thing that I've experienced um, in the metaverse. You know,
Yeah.
being on stage, hosting that,
Right.
and it's just like it's really cool. So to give that up and step back, it was a little bit like, oh man. And of course, there's a little bit like, okay, you know, that's kind of the coolest thing, you know.
Yeah.
So a little bit of, but again, that's the kind of thing that I've got to be able to step away from. if there is limitless opportunity, if I really am creating a platform to lift other people up and train other people up, if I'm really doing all that, then it shouldn't be just with the stuff that isn't the coolest. It should be
Absolutely.
with everything.
Dude, one of the most inhumane ways that people who hunt monkeys kill the monkeys.
Mm-mm.
So what they do, they put this little sweet treat inside. They drill a hole in coconuts,
Mm.
and then they put these little sweet treats in there that the monkeys like, and they tie the coconut up to they anchor it basically to a
Mm.
rope, and so the monkeys will come. They try to pull the coconut, they can't. So then they just stick their hand in it, and they like
Yeah.
the treat so much that they don't want to let go of the treat that's in
Yeah.
there, that's inside the coconut. And then the hunters just come and hit the monkey over the head, and there you have it.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know Peter doesn't like this story, but that's just reality. And but but here's reality: they get trapped because it's something that they like that they aren't willing to relinquish.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, man, what happens when just not just with things, but even life, when you hold life so tightly, or when you hold just these things, these positions out of greed, out of selfishness, because it gives you some type of egotistical
Yeah.
fulfilling, and how things come to a ruin. But when you let
Mhm.
those things go, how much God blesses it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yep.
that's exactly what was happening. I had the little death grip on that, and I'm like, no. And then, I mean, fortunately, I made it to church,
Yeah.
I guess it's okay to be thinking about the soapstone while I'm sitting in church. Sometimes I'm thinking about church if I'm sitting in the soapstone, so it's all fair, And
Hey, it all impacts people.
that's right, that's right.
And
But
same thing
man,
with me with control of emailing.
yeah, yep, exactly.
This is like, dude,
It's that ownership. It's that ownership thing that we were talking about.
yeah,
Finding something that you can give the ownership to somebody else and step back. And man, that's terrifying to do.
absolutely, bro.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's terrifying because we don't trust well. Sometimes it's terrifying because we like control.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's terrifying because we just, out of the goodness of our heart, just care about something so well. We want to make sure nobody harms the baby.
And and here's sometimes it's terrifying because I feel like my value comes from that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the case most time with all of us.
Right, right. But man, that man, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I relinquished it. Because here's the thing: as soon as I relinquished it, my thought pattern shifted from that show to shows. My thought
Ah,
pattern shifted to, it's not the everyday open mic and then the headliner show. It's going to be the everyday open mic and then many shows throughout the week. And already, since doing that, there's been two people that have stepped up, and we're going to have some. I'm not going to say their names right now, just in case it falls apart.
right.
But by the time this airs, I think we'll have at least two additional weekly shows that are going on in the Soapstone. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have necessarily had the capacity to do that if I was holding on tight to the headliner show.
Yeah, that's good, man. So what, like, so everybody who listening to, like, walk us through the schedule, the weekly schedule of the metaverse of Soapstone.
Yeah, yeah. So it varies because you never know when people are going to come or what's going to happen. But for the most part, we've got something going on all the time.
Yeah,
There's times when it might be just three or four people hanging out talking about whatever, in there. But basically anytime 24/7, there's probably something happening in the Soapstone.
Yeah.
And it's our everyday open mic, it's like the stage is there. We've got the programming set up so somebody can come in and hit the button and sign up for a 3-minute spot, and then they can take the stage. But I mean, sometimes the rooms are all nicely seated and just waiting for someone to entertain them. And sometimes there's 8 different conversations going on. It's actually just like an open mic. You might come in and get up on stage, and you might have to win the attention of that audience. Yeah.
Man, I was able to. I didn't have a lot of time this week, last week, but I was telling my wife, my kids, like, I just need to step in the Soapstone really quick, and so I went into Soapstone. Dude, it was so cool seeing the room. I just stood in the back, hoping that nobody noticed me.
Yeah,
And I just stood in the back and watched in amazement. Just like, oh yeah. It's kind of like if you ever have a friend who's opened up a business and you so proud of the business as if it's like, yo, so you just drive by and sit in the parking lot and watch, just go into the store, like, yeah, look at this.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you got the opportunity to come in, and I'm glad I didn't know you were coming in, because I'd
Yeah.
try to chase you down, But that's
But go ahead.
yeah, because I'd have been all over it. I'd have been like, hey, Jason, But yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have that opportunity to just come in and see it. Because right now, like, the people that are in there don't know what your avatar looks like.
Right.
They might have heard your name, but they're not looking for you.
Yeah.
So this is a special time. This is a special time when you can go in and you can be anonymous.
Absolutely.
You can stand in the back and soak it up, enjoy it, because it won't last
You're
forever.
right. I need to do a lot before I get exposed.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
'cause I even, my name is part of my name is in it
Uh-huh.
in my avatar, but it was just I was standing in the back peeking in, trying to see if I saw you, because I was like, I don't want to go on stage. I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah,
sit in the back.
yep. Yeah, that's funny, man.
It was great to see, man, just people in the booths talking,
Yep.
people on stage talking. It was just, the environment was just so good.
It's been amazing. Like, I mean, going way back, you said culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
And man, we are, and you asked me, you said, what is the culture in the Soapstone?
Right.
And at the time I said, this is what we're shooting for, but it's so new and it's so big, we can't really grasp it.
Yeah.
But man, looking at the Facebook group, the Team Soapstone Facebook group, and being in there from time to time, like, we got culture, man.
Right.
We got a culture of mutual respect. We got a culture of being respectful for each other and accepting and supportive. Like, this is happening. It's happened.
So
Like,
good.
it's man.
So good, man.
Yeah.
It's something about man, just having a vision and working towards that vision and seeing the vision actually become reality.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. And and that should be an encouragement to all of us. It's like, man, whatever the vision is, write the vision down, make it plain, so everybody can run towards it.
It is. And to tie it back in too, it also should be easy. Like,
Right.
if you got a vision and you got to whip people into shape to chase that vision, if you got a vision and you got to explain it over and over and over because people just aren't getting it, then you got the wrong vision.
That's so good.
Some things should be easy. Life is hard enough. Some
Right.
things should be easy. And getting people lined up and on board, that piece of it should be easy. And if it's not, we got to take another look at what we're talking about and what we're
Right.
doing.
That's so, that right there. If anybody is, especially in the church world.
Mhm.
If you know anybody who's a leader like that, that is a chapter in the book of Aaron, dude, that everybody needs to read. Because so many times it, it- so many times we try to make things difficult, and yeah, and I think maybe we're chasing the wrong thing. I've
Yeah.
always said, well, I've been saying one thing about this pandemic. Has exposed how difficult we've made things.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
It's because the pandemic has forced us to get back to the simple things:
Yeah.
checking on people, being nice to people, not being so busy running around that you forget about those who are close to you. That's
Oh.
that is the one of the greatest values that come out of the pandemic.
And
It's
man, I hope and I pray that we can hang on to that.
absolutely.
Man.
That's why I think the metaverse will actually increase, because it has its way of, and the busyness, it makes it slow down. You got this thing on your face and you're in this world, but you're still connecting with people. It's not a, like you said, it's not a substitute, but it's like, you know what? I feel like going out, but I don't need to go out. Let me
Yeah.
just sit, let me just give an hour to this virtual world and
Yeah.
connect with people all over and still have my behind at home, and
Yeah.
then I can take it off and be with my family, be with real people.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes things much more accessible and timely. You're flying around the country this last week. Some of those things, not all of them, but some of those things maybe could be an hour in VR
Yeah,
instead of traveling. Yeah,
yeah. What I've
not
been
all of
contemplating,
them.
yeah, what I've been contemplating is, man, I wonder, should I start taking the headset on the road with me? So you know what I don't, but I'm thinking like, man, it'd be cool.
Yeah,
Some nights after a show, after I get off stage, come back to the hotel room and just jumping in for a minute. Just what to be able to get off stage. Like tonight, I perform in front of 2,000 people.
hmm
To get off that stage and then come into my hotel room and be able to jump into Soapstone stage would be amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's cool. It's like the last night. I got off stage and came home and jumped into the soapstone for a little while.
Yeah,
So like I did exactly what you're talking about last night, and um and uh it's cool, but I mean there's so when I get off stage, there's this euphoric feeling. You
yeah,
know, there's this buzz, there's this high
right,
because you were just in front of a room full of people that are all laughing together and endorphins are flowing and
right.
accolades are there and I think for me I have to be a little bit careful about coming off of that and going right into VR
Yeah,
because if I do that I can end up chasing that, you know what I'm
right.
saying, like it almost like I almost need the time after a live performance, like I need to wind down as opposed to amp up.
Yeah. But I'm also thinking, I don't know if you've seen the comedian, Jerry Seinfeld's the comedian. Um, but there's this idea, and from comedians that I've known who've worked the New York comic strip, who've worked LA. There's this idea of, man, how many, for those comedians, those inspiring comedians who are listening to this, here's what you gotta know. It's about reps. How
Yes.
often are you getting on stage? It's
Yeah.
not okay. So you've been on stage once, and you're saying that you're comedian, or you
Yeah.
might perform once every quarter or
Yeah.
twice a year.
Yeah.
You're really not a comedian.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
hobbyist who happened to get on stage.
Yeah.
But the real pros, I'm saying those who we know who are A-listers, they're getting on stage sometimes 4 or 5, even 7 times a night if they can.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
open mics, how many clubs can I hit just to go get some time? So for
Yeah.
me, I'm looking at, okay, man, how can I increase my on stage reps?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I love about, well, let me finish that statement. How can I increase my on stage reps by utilizing what's available to me in the metaverse?
Yeah.
So I get off stage tonight. Man, this joke didn't go quite the way that I wanted
Yeah.
it to.
Yeah.
I fumbled on it. Let me jump right into the soapstone and work
Yeah.
this thing out again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the stuff that I'm like. So being strategic
I
about
got you.
growth
Yeah.
of myself. So, but
Yeah.
I like, but saying what you saying, like, yes, there's absolutely. I think there are moments of like we have to be careful. That's why I'm saying. I think I know my time has to be managed. That's what my
Yeah.
family and I have
Yeah.
come to the conclusion. Like, hey, let's. And while I'm being slow to like get involved in the metaverse because I'm trying to see how to best protect myself, protect
Yeah.
my time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
protect my family.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that concept of reps and that I've heard New York comedians especially talk about this because they've got like especially as they start to get established a little bit,
Yeah,
they can hit a dozen open mics. They can do a dozen sets in a night.
right.
And there's people that do that daily.
Yeah,
And man, they're tough. They get
right.
up there, and I mean, they're tight. And whatever the room wants to throw at them, they've experienced it already this week. And that's where it's at. And there's huge advantage to the metaverse. I mean, like the comedy club, the Soapstone. Um, there are often times where there's many different rooms where if somebody wanted to come in and work some stuff out, they can go boom 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 and hit multiple rooms in a
See,
row
and
and work some stuff out.
that is
Yeah, and I'll tell
you
you,
can't
like
do that. Like,
when I got on in real life, right, when I got on in real life on Wednesday and then on Friday,
yeah,
I was used to the pacing in the metaverse.
right.
And the fact is, live is so much easier because you get instantaneous reaction and feedback.
Yeah,
Uh, so like I was going to the gym and I was training with a backpack full of sand on my back, and then I got on stage and the backpack's gone and I'm light as a feather and moving and floating
wow.
like a butterfly and stinging like a bee. And, I mean, so it's like, to look at the Soapstone for professional and up and coming comedians to look at the Soapstone as the gym, the open mic as the gym
Yeah,
to come in and get a workout in, like that's, yeah, it's there. But then the flip side of that, when we come off of that live event, it's there's a little bit of danger in then going right back into the gym.
yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah,
Hey, Kobe Bryant would say that's what he has to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh, yeah, I think of who was it? I think it was Dwayne Wade said that they played Kobe and they went. He went and was working out after the game, working on some shots, and he finished up and he heard a ball bouncing and he went and it was Kobe.
yeah,
Kobe was working harder than he was. And I just so man, I always think as a comedian, man, how hard am I hitting that gym?
yeah,
And for those of us who are not in the New York, for those of us who are not in the LA, this, the VR, Soapstone helps one get those reps in.
yeah,
I never forget, I've never told this story publicly. There was the CCA Christian Comedy Conference. My first one in 2005, 2004, 2005. I met a guy and he and I were conference buddies. Like we met at the conference and we just started hanging out, laughing together. And he went on stage. We did a newcomers room, and he did it. And I was like, oh snap, this dude's good. I better get myself together. And I got on, and he ripped it. And then I got on, and I ripped it. So then, a few months later, he was living in Atlanta. I'm in Dallas, living right off of Interstate 20. He called me, said that he was moving to LA to pursue his comedy career even further. So he came, he stopped by our house, spent the night on our sofa. My wife fixed him breakfast, and then he went to LA. I started seeing this dude on TV, and he was crushing it. Then I started seeing him on commercials, crushing it. Then I started seeing him on movies, seeing him on Nickelodeon, crushing it. Seeing him on HBO, crushing. Like this dude is crushing it. I moved to Seattle, and then I found out he was coming to town. So I contacted the dude who owned the comedy club, and I was like, "Yo, I know, I love to do some time." The guy was giving me like, "Yeah, okay, who are you? I don't know you." Like, he was like, "But yeah, I'll give you some time." I showed up at the club. The owner was apologizing to me. I was like, man, his whole thing, he was like, man, I'm sorry. It was this crazy amount of respect that he was giving me. And then I found out what happened, like why that was. I walked in the room and this comedian said, yo, where you been? Like, what? He's like, what are you doing? He said, listen, man. He's like, dude, I told the owner, I was like, he's coming? This Jason Earls dude is so much funnier than me.
Oh.
And he was like, he said, Jason, when I saw you at the CCA, dude, I saw you perform in that room after I did. And I was like, oh snap, I got to get myself together. I need to step up my game. He said, man, so you pushed me. He said, you out here and you ain't getting on stage that much. And he was like, listen, one thing I know is plenty of dudes out there who are way more funny than me. But I tell you, ain't nobody going to outwork me. Oof. He said, I'm going to make sure I'm getting on stage. If the average comedian getting on stage 4 times a night, I'm trying to get on stage 8 times. If they get on stage 8 times a week, I'm trying to get on stage 10 times, 15 times a week. I never forget that conversation because, dude, he was blown away that he was on this trajectory.
Yeah.
And had left me far behind.
Wow.
And so I know, and so I say that to say, man, if we want to be better in this comedy world, in this comedy genre, we gotta get on stage. And this VR provides us an opportunity.
Wow, man. There's so much to unpack with that. And because it goes way beyond comedy. It goes way beyond comedy. Man, if you got a sales rep, if you got a sales rep that's pushing it and making twice the calls, like and looking at cold calls as the gym. Hey, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna make cold calls. If there's a sales rep that's doing twice as much of that as the average sales rep, they're gonna crush it. Period.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I mean, a realtor, if they're out there meeting, any of it, you just fill in the blank.
Yeah, and just even getting in front of people, just making relationship equity deposits. Hey, what's happening? How you doing? I just think about you. Hey, because once that person needs what you have, or that need comes up that you feel, because you've consistently been working hard and being in their face, like you the first person.
Yeah.
There was
Yep.
this barbershop that I went to. His barber. There were probably about 15 barbers in this one barbershop, and there was one guy in the corner. His booth was set up all different, had lights and stuff, and I'll never forget. One guy came in there. He was like, I walked in here, and he said, I saw you. He said, you, all these barbers, but you got this set up, this station. I'm
Yeah.
coming to you. In fact, me and my 3 sons are coming to you
Mm.
because it looks like you the hardest working barber in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's things we can control and there's things we can't control.
Yeah.
And the things we can't control, like how naturally funny we are, we need the serenity to accept that. But the things that we can control,
yes, sir.
like how many times we're getting on stage, like, man, that's stuff we can control. And the wisdom to know the difference there, man, that's gold.
So
gold,
good.
Man.
That's so good, bro.
Well, man, this again has been just a phenomenal conversation every week, unscripted. Like
Unscripted.
I usually got a couple notes of things that I want to hit,
Yeah.
but I mean, this is just you and me talking about the limitless possibility in the metaverse and all of the dynamics of how that interrelates with life. Man, this is so cool, and everybody listening, man, buckle up because we are just in the very beginning phases of this. I can't wait to see how this progresses and how we all go on this journey together, growing as individuals, growing as a community, and growing as a world. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.